Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. If you guys enjoy this video, please don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. On to the video in 3, 2, 1. Alright guys, so in this video today, I'm going to be going over this meta for the Tempest Cup. And I'm going to try to make this like a 20, maybe like 20-25 minute video. Try to make it shorter if I can, but I'm going to just go over this in details and maybe even explain to you guys why I chose these and show you some of these you know, PvP poke simulations. Alright, so first we got I'm gonna start this off with Tropius and Obama Snow. So regarding those two, we have Obama Snow, the grass and ice type, which is a Razor Leaf user. And then we have Tropius, which is a grass and flying type, which is also a Razor Leaf user, which is going to be like the core of the meta, pretty much. It's going to be what a lot of people are going to want to be using. You're going to want one in your lineup for sure. Tropius, or not Tropius, Obama Snow is like a poor man's Tropius, so if you don't have access to Tropius, or you don't have anyone to trade a Tropius with, you can always use Obama Snow. And I'll tell you why Obama Snow could even be a better option in some scenarios. Okay, but for starters, these Razor Leaf users are going to be extremely effective against the ground and water type Pokemon of this cup, and also the water electric type, that is Lantern. And even also other things like Lapras with Water Gun and Surf, Celio with Powder Snow and Body Slam, maybe even Avalanche. But yeah, we're gonna start off with the ground and water users. So all these ground and water users right here, you get. I'm trying to show you guys with my mouse if you can't see that. All these ground and water type users, examples being Quagsire, Wishcash, Marshtomp, and Swampert. These are the only weaknesses these guys have is grass types. And these Razor Leaf users will kill these guys extremely quickly because their only weakness is to grass, and it's a ×2 weakness. So they are extremely vulnerable, and the only one that could possibly stand even a chance is Quagsire with Stone Edge. And here, I'll show you guys why right now. Alright, so here on PvP Poke, I'm going to sim Quagsire versus, let's just say Tropius here. Quagsire will stand no chance at all against Obama Snow. And the reason why is because it's not part flying. Tropius is part flying, and when Quagsire has Stone Edge, it can actually get off one Stone Edge right before it dies. And that Stone Edge does a really big chunk of damage. It brings Tropius from 163 all the way down to 66, as you guys can see here. And obviously with one, it won't make a difference with shields because Razor Leaf will just shred through it regardless. I'm just showing you guys this in a no shield scenario. Now let's sim Obama Snow and see what happens here. And see, it won't even be able to get off a Stone Edge. So that's why Quagsire is probably the best. I mean, you don't want to be using Quagsire to counter these guys for sure. The Razor Leaf users, you do not want to be using it. I'm just saying if you manage to open or close with a Quagsire against one of these Razor Leaf users, at least against Tropius, Stone Edge will be somewhat effective in just taking down Tropius's health. Alright, so now that we're done with that part of the meta, let's move on here. I'm just gonna go in this this rectangular shape I made here. Alright, so going from the water and ground types, you're going to want to use those against all of the electrics. That includes Lantern, this Magneton, this Luxray, Plusle, Minun, Electabuzz, Alolan Golem, Alolan Graveler especially. Just any of like the fire types and or the electric types, that is Lantern. Even though it's also part water, its ground is super effective against electric and it's neutral to water, so therefore ground type moves are still super effective against Lantern. Against Magneton, it's double super effective because ground is both super effective against electric and steel in this scenario. So watch out, Magneton. You're gonna be in some pretty big trouble against these guys. And okay, as we move on here, I'm just going to tell you guys why I put this here, wildcard. This is meant to showcase this Magneton here. If you have a Magneton with the moveset of, let's see here, what's his legacy? Thundershock and Discharge, you are at a huge advantage here because those are legacy movesets, and that Thundershock charges this charge move extremely quickly, and it gives you a huge advantage. Also, pair it along with Magnet Bomb, and it's an extreme counter to things like Lapras, to things like Charizard, Skarmory, even Altaria does like somewhat decent against. But yeah, so basically you want to use these electric types. Lantern is a great one, especially because that water gun just does so much like neutral damage, and it just starts like draining their health super quickly. Along with that Thunderbolt to do super effective damage against Charizard, against Skarmory, against Lapras, against Celio, even against Skarmory, or not Skarmory, even against Altaria it does somewhat decent. And then that Hydro Pump in case there's like a scenario where they have no shields and you can use a Hydro Pump. You could also use Lantern to counter Steelix, you know, but you'll need to watch out there if that Steelix knows Earthquake, because you'll be in a bit of trouble without any shields against that. Against Rhyperior, but Rhyperior is a no-go in this tournament. It just has too many weaknesses. It's too frail for its level. At Great League, it only goes up to like level 14 or 15, I think. Very low, so it's very squishy. It's double weak to water since it's rock and ground. Alright, now that we're done with the electric part of the meta, let's move on here to a very interesting core pick to your team. If you manage to get a Legacy Lapras with Ice Shard and or Ice Beam or both, you have a very interesting attacker here, because let's start with the example on the right here. I put two examples here, but let's start with the example on the right. So here, obviously, if you have Water Gun and Surf, and or Ice Beam, if you have a second move, you'll easily take care of the Charizards, the Skarmorys, hell, the Steelixes even. Hell, you'll put up a great fight even against Tropius and Abomasnow. Hell, and even Altaria with Ice Beam, because that will shred Altaria with Ice Beam. So the reason I'm showing you guys Water Gun here is because it does very good spam damage, constantly doing a bunch of damage to Charizard, and Lapras pairs very well with the grass types of the meta, because people are going to be running either Skarmory and or Charizard on their lineup to counter these grass types, as well as Altaria. So therefore, Lapras covers all of Tropius' weaknesses, while also being a pretty good tank. and lead and closer. Like you can use it in pretty much any like scenario or position in your lineup as you want. Because it just takes care of everything pretty much. A lot of the meta takes care of. It even takes care of the ground and water types like Quagsire. But completely it's a no-go against the electric types. No. Alright, so now that we got that taken care of, let's move on here to Charizard and Skarmory. Now, Charizard with Blast Burn and Ember. Let me just check over here. Yeah, so Charizard with Ember or Fire Spin and Blast Burn will do extremely well against Tropius and Abomasnow, aka the Razor Leaf users of this meta. Also Skarmory. But the reason I have Skarmory starred here is because it's very interesting. Because it's steel and flying, it has a double resistance to grass moves. And that being said, it will take even less damage than Charizard would in this matchup. Because one, Charizard is more squishy, has less defense than Skarmory. Skarmory's defense is massive. Just here, I'll show you. I'll give you an example here. Let me compare Skarmory here to Charizard in terms of its stat spread. All right, so let's see here. So I'm not sure if you guys knew this, but anything that has a higher attack is bound to have a bad stat spread because its attack will basically cover a lot of its CP. Therefore, its defense and stamina will be lower. That's just how stat spread works. If your attack stat is high, that means your other stats are going to be low. If your defense and stamina is high, your attack stat's going to be low. So let's see. Skarmory has an attack of 107 compared to Charizard's 136. And then greatly, you want more bulk over attack because bulk will last you longer, will save you shields in the end, and will just be overall better. Now comparing Skarmory's defense, 164.2 to Charizard's defense of 105, that is a massive difference. Skarmory could probably tank an extra hit over like Charizard. Let's say like, I don't know, what's a good example here? Something that they're both weak to. Electric, yeah, let's say that. I guarantee you, Charizard will probably die by a Thunderbolt one time. Skarmory does not die by one Thunderbolt. Stamina on Skarmory's end is 118. Stamina on Charizard's end is 113. So Skarmory doesn't have that much of a lead, but it does on defense. Therefore making it way more tanky. Alright, so now that I got that out of the way, let's move on here. So yeah, the specialty here is Skarmory because it double resists those grass moves, and it takes care of both Tropius and Abomasnow, the Razor Leaf users. Charizard does it awesomely too, but I'd rather have more resistance to grass rather than just doing more damage overall. I'd rather have more resistance. I personally like using the more bulky Pokemon. Alright, moving on here. Steelix I have starred. Because Steelix is a steel and ground type. And Steelix actually is a good Skarmory counter. But Steelix also runs very well with a Skarmory in its lineup. For the simple reason that they both wall the Razor Leaf users of the meta. And they both wall Altaria pretty well. It's like an anti-Altaria and also anti-Razor Leaf strategy. But watch out for Lantern with Water Gun that will shred through Steelix. Obviously, watch out for Lapras with either ice or water. With Surf, with Water Gun, that'll also shred through Steelix. Steelix is weak. Steelix is weak to water. Ice, it's neutral. There's a million types it's weak to. Like, just watch out for that. It's also weak to fire, so Charizard can counter it very well. Alright, moving on here. We have Altaria. Now, Altaria is a tank. Like, to say the least, it's a tank. And it deals so much damage with that Dragon Breath. As an example, Altaria walls Tropius and Abomasnow. Here, I'll show you guys right now. Altaria onto Tropius. That Altaria is double resisting that grass type as well. Since Dragon resists grass and so does flying, so that's a double resistance. Yeah, let's do no shields here. Let's say let's say it has Razor Leaf because that's normal. Battle. And as you guys will see here, it wins with a whopping 63 health left. That is because it just walls it. It doesn't give a chance it doesn't allow Tropius to do damage. Like, it just doesn't. The only thing that does damage is Aerial Ace. And still, Tropius has just about half its health remaining. Or not Tropius, Altaria. Altaria just walls it completely. That Sky Attack shreds through Tropius due to its grass typing. Hell, even Dragon Pulse is effective. Now let's try it against Abomasnow. But Abomasnow's a different story because that's part Ice type. So you'll want to block if that Abomasnow has Blizzard. Let's say it has Razor Leaf. Let's say it has Blizzard and Outrage. Perfect. See here, Altaria actually wins this matchup because of the help of the Dragon Breath spam damage, and as well, it gets off its Sky Attack way before Abomasnow gets off its charge move. Because Razor Leaf has very bad energy gain, but massive damage. It would take a large amount of time to even be able to charge up an Outrage or Blizzard. You see here, even after all these Razor Leafs, it barely charges half an Outrage, and it doesn't even charge half of a Blizzard. So that is a good example of why Altaria is a perfect counter to the Razor Leaf users of this meta. And I also drew this arrow to Skarmory and Charizard for Altaria because Altaria also walls Charizard. Fire is also not very effective to Dragon. Dragon resists that fire typing. And just Altaria just wins like the neutral matchup there with its Sky Attack and its Dragon Breath. Except Charizard can do a decent amount of damage with Dragon Claw if you have its other move unlocked. It can be a somewhat decent counter to Altaria here. But it's very interesting against Skarmory because let's take a look here. Altaria v Skarmory. Let's say it has Flash Cannon, Air Slash, Sky Attack, perfect. No shields. Skarmory wins with 6 HP. But the reason I'm pointing an arrow at it, saying I can beat it, is because it all depends on your shields and your shield usage, and if you have an energy gain. Because if you have an energy gain, you're going to win that matchup. Now let's take a look at one shield here. Altaria loses to Skarmory by 5 health. Two very close matchups that could very well just be decided by like 2 Dragon Breaths here. Yeah, essentially three Dragon Breaths. If you have the slight energy gain, you're going to win that matchup against Skarmory. It's just each one is like a check to each other. They're both soft counters to each other. Now let's check out 2 shields here. 2 shields, it's a dead tie. Which is why I'm saying energy gain will completely change the outcome of these two against each other. Completely changes it. So overall, what I can take away here is Altaria, it beats the flying types, including Skarmory and Charizard. It beats the Razor Leaf users. And it gets countered by Lapras with ice moves, hard countered. And even Magneton. Magneton actually wrecks Altaria. It's a very interesting matchup. And Lantern narrowly beats Altaria. Okay, now that I'm done with that explanation, let's move on here to the Ice Shard and Ice Beam Lapras and Celio. Obviously, we know Celio would wreck Altaria in a 1v1 because it's Powder Snow. That energy gain is just too much for Altaria to handle. It can get off an Avalanche. It can spam its body slams like a ridiculous amount of times. It's just a complete, or no, not Avalanche. I'm sorry. Aurora Beam. Celio, you want a Celio with Aurora Beam, Powder Snow, and Body Slam. If you're going to use it to counter Altaria. Now Lapras here is very interesting. If you have this double legacy moveset here, Ice Shard and Ice Beam. The reason I put these 2 arrows to Tropius and Abomasnow is because this matchup also can go either way depending on shield usage and energy gain. Because here, I'm going to do another set of sims. Let's see here, Lapras with Ice Shard, Ice Beam, and Surf against Tropius with Razor Leaf, Leaf Blade, and let's say Aerial Ace. 2 shields. Tropius barely squeezes out the win with 23 health. 23 health left. Now, if this Tropius wouldn't be shielded here, that Surf would take it out 100%. And if not, it would be killed by Ice Shards. Which is why I'm saying energy gain is very important in this tournament, because a lot of these matchups can be swayed in the other direction if you just have a shield advantage and an energy advantage. Okay, now let's do a sim onto Abomasnow and see what we have here. It's going to be pretty much the same scenario. Actually, no, let me go back to Tropius and test this out with 1 shield now. 1 shield, 1 shield. And look at that, it's a dead tie. This is exactly why I have these 2 arrows drawn, because both of these can counter each other in the right scenarios with the right movesets. So if you have an Ice Shard and Ice Beam Lapras, you're pretty lucky, because that's a hard counter to things like Skarmory, Altaria especially. Oh, that Ice Shard will just absolutely annihilate it, melt it. Probably in about like 8 Ice Shards, I'm guessing. It'll go even against a Tropius in most scenarios. Check out no shields here. Oh, look at that, another tie. Another tie with no shields. This proves my point that Lapras with Ice Shard and Ice Beam is special because it actually takes care of Tropius and Abomasnow in this meta, which Razor Leaf users are going to be extremely common. Everyone's going to have one in their team, whether it be the poor man's Tropius or Tropius itself. And yeah, a few more of like honorable mentions and wild cards here. Oh, actually no. Let me take care of one more thing here, which is the last part of this infographic that I have to share. This Lapras with Ice Shard and Ice Beam actually takes care of all of the mud and the ground and water types, like Quagsire, Wishcash, Marsh Tom, Swampert, etc. That ice is doing very strong like neutral damage because it's super effective against ground, but not very effective against water, therefore evening out to a neutral matchup. And also that water pulse or water gun is also doing a ton of damage. And surf is very spammy also. That's also doing some neutral damage here. Last but not least, we have a special scenario here where the Razor Leaf users can also very well take care of all of the electric users. Luxray, it destroys Lantern. And actually, another reason this Magneton is a wild card is because if you have those legacy moves, this Magneton actually comes out on top against Tropius. And here, I will show you guys that right now. Magneton here with Thundershock, Discharge, and Magnet Bomb against Tropius. No shields. Tropius wins that, but wait. My point is proven with shield usage. Oh, this is Magnemite. Magneton. Oh my god. Magneton. Whoops. I was like, wait, why did that Magneton have 80 HP? Okay, so that Tropius wins with a sliver of health. 4 HP left. If you can simply just reserve your Magneton and do 4 damage of health on the Tropius, you'll be able to win with no shields. That's how close it is. Now going on to 1 shield here. Magneton, look at that, wins with 5 HP. It's a very slight win, but it's a win. Regardless. Now 2 shields. Okay, Tropius stands out a little more here. Gets a good win against Magneton, but Magneton still does a ton of damage. Now let's check out Abomasnow versus Magnemite, or Magneton. Let's say it has Razor Leaf, let's say it has Blizzard and Energy and Outrage. 2 shields here. Abomasnow wins heavily with 97 health. 1 shield. Magneton wins with 19 HP. Very interesting, right? And that is actually because of how spammy these moves are. That Magnet Bomb will be doing very super effective damage due to the fact that Abomasnow is also part ice as well as grass. But Steel is super effective against the ice typing and it's neutral to grass. So therefore it's super effective. And it does massive damage if Abomasnow has no shields. Now it's no shields, it completely dominates Abomasnow with 43 health left. Just almost half its health remaining from that. Most of these cases, Abomasnow won't even be able to get off a charge move. You'll basically be using it just for its Razor Leaf. Since it's a lot less tanky than Tropius, you'll mostly be using Abomasnow for its Razor Leaf, which is why they call them Razor Leaf users. Because that's where a lot of their damage comes from, is from Razor Leaf. Although Leaf Blade is a very great damage per energy move, or energy per damage. No, it's damage per energy. Leaf Blade is one of the best damage per energy moves there is in the game. And Leaf Blade is one of the most highest damage per second moves in the game. Alright. So with that said, Rhyperior is a no-go, we know that. Steelix's purpose is to counter Skarmory. And it can also wall Altaria pretty well. Lapras, Ancilio, hard counter Altaria, and they go neutral with the Razor Leaf users, and they beat the ground and water users. The ground and water users beat the electric users, that is Lantern. You'll be seeing a lot of Lantern. It's a very good pick. Like Lantern, like Luxray, like Magneton, Plusle Mine, and etc. Electabuzz. Hell, even Zapdos. Zapdos won't be ran that much though. These Razor Leaf users also beat out the electric types. The electric types have a great advantage against Lapras, against Charizard, against Skarmory. Even against Altaria they do well. Lapras here with Water Gun and Surf does extremely well against Skarmory and Charizard. Super effective on Charizard, but pretty good damage on Skarmory, being neutral. And last but not least, we have Skarmory and Charizard being able to hard counter the Razor Leaf users, which is extremely important. So let's see here. I'm gonna go take a look at what teams I have assembled here in Pokemon Go. I'm gonna name off my top picks. All right, let's see here. My top picks. Number 1, Tropius. Number 2, Altaria. Number 3, Skarmory. 4 being Lapras. 5 being Lantern. And 6, I'm still debating. I'm still debating whether I like Frostlass or Quagsire, honestly. I want a more like anti-Razor Leaf team, honestly, this time around. Which is why I have Skarmory and Altaria in my top 6 picks. I hope you guys enjoyed that Tempest Cup Meta video. And after this video, I will be uploading an honorable mentions part 2 video to be continued with this one. But until then, guys, I will talk to you guys later. Please don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And I hope you guys have a great day. See ya.